Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. And we are back.
We are back.
I'm Jason Kreidman.
I am Alan Bush.
And this is Dudes to Dads. Again. We're back for another exciting week.
Right on.
Alan, how are you?
Good. Everything's great this week. Yeah. How about yourself?
Good.
Okay.
There's
ellipses after that.
We do these things. I love it. I mean, every week it's just, it's the minutia, if you will, of the normal stuff. Like, this is the stuff I really enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the normal daily stuff that is not as exciting as coming here and doing a podcast.
Right.
So I invited a guest here, a gentleman that is in our meetup group, always gives great input. And so I invited him to kind of sit in with us.
Yeah.
Not that he is an expert in this area, it's kind of funny that I would say that because you'll hear what the title's about. It just happens to be that he has good input.
Okay, great.
With that, Ted, just say hello.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here.
So Ted's great. He's part of these meetups, active with his parenting. So wanted him to join us. So today's topic, episode 103, is how to handle your kids' cursing or your guide to minimizing swearing. Okay. So I'll start it out with we sort of have an epidemic on our hands. Uh-oh. This is an epidemic. It's a disease that's been in our society for a long time. It's been really impossible to get rid of, and it looks like it's going to be here to stay. Okay. And I'm talking about swearing and cursing.
Okay.
And or cursing. I guess we can use those terms
interchangeably.
So, was it always this bad? You think about it, like, were our parents in a situation, because we hear kids cussing, we cuss, but do you think it was always this bad? How about you, Ted?
I think so. I have older brothers and a sister, and absolutely. They used to swear when I was little.
So nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
I guess it depends on where you grew up.
Did you hear your parents swearing?
And once in a while, and I didn't. Yeah, I swear way more than I should, honestly. But that being said, I didn't. Yeah, we'll just say yeah. Yes, I did.
So the question always being is when we hear our kids saying something that's inappropriate, the question is, where did they learn to talk like this? Because we often will ask that. I mean, at least that's what I did when I heard something come out of my child's mouth.
Sure.
And so first I wanted to kind of touch on just some of the areas that they might have heard this from.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So first is from us. Now, Ted, how about yourself? I
am unbelievably careful about not swearing in front of my child. And so I know it doesn't come from me. Right. I do swear, and quite a bit.
What about your wife?
Not around him. No. She doesn't swear. No.
Oh, okay. So like at your home, you're pretty clean.
Yeah, I just keep it clean.
Yeah.
I make a concerted effort always to not swear because I know how quickly they pick things up.
Right. Yeah.
So from the way that we talk, the kids are going to hear it, obviously. How many times have we done something? I have to say that I'm guilty at least one point in my life.
Yeah.
Where, it could be something where you drop something or, you're hitting a hammer and you hurt, your hand or whatever. It's not necessarily that you're yelling at somebody and cursing. It's like it could be just a situation in which you say something that you maybe wish you wouldn't have said.
Sure.
And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. So the worst part of it is, when we react, then the child looks at it and reacts to it.
Yes.
Especially if we're making a big deal about it.
Right.
It's like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, that was an unusual word I never heard before. Let me repeat it several times inappropriately.
Right. Yeah, and we can't take it back. It's like we've said something and now we can't take it back.
Yeah.
So that's probably the first place, and that's just obvious where, we kind of have to look at that. And we're going to talk about how do we move forward from this. The second one is family members. So you might not curse, but you had said like your wife does not. Mm-hmm. But other family members might. Okay.
Do you have family that does?
Yeah, my brother's probably would, just because it just happens. They have no filter.
So like their uncle would be a little bit.
It's possible, yes.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey, actually.
So not the stereotype. I'm from the East Coast myself, and I will stereotype, but New Jersey,
right?
A little more apt to be that way.
Yes.
Sure. Well, and like I said, just because we're not saying something doesn't mean that a family member is not going to talk like a drunken sailor.
Yes.
Yeah,
my Boston relatives. Pretty
sure. At holiday time, you might put a couple beers into Aunt Edna, and she's bound to start throwing some F-bombs.
Sure.
So it can happen, and that could be a certain example. It's like around holiday time or other situations. So you just want to be conscious of that. Now, how we handle that, we'll talk about. We're going to get into that. So right now, we're just kind of going over like where do the children learn this? Because it just the obvious one is us, but then we always say like, where are they learning this? So you want to know. The third one is friends. Now, this is very, very common, and oftentimes we don't want to say that, hey, it's from us or our family, so we can blame it on their friends. Sure. And that's their friends at school, their friends on the playground, or their friends at home or whatever. That's the easiest one for us to blame. Because, hey, it's not us. I'm not doing it. It's got to be the kids.
Right.
So whether they're out in the street or I said like on the playground, and they're going to say words on the playground or in the street that they're not going to say at home. I mean, everyone just does. We all did that. Yeah. We talk about our friend. I'm from California.
Sure.
The way that we would talk in the playground about with like the words dude and just skateboarding and surfing and like you sounded like you were not educated at all, saying the word like 50 times.
Sure.
And then when you needed to talk appropriately, you would talk.
You put on a different.
You put on a different show.
Right. Yeah, we're different at the bar than we are in front of our clients, in front of people.
Totally. What about you, Ted? Did you find when you were younger, were your friends? Did you hang around friends? That was some of the wording.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had some bad friends that used bad language on a regular basis, and in New Jersey.
And would you say in your person? Away from your kids, would you have a tendency to use some colorful language?
Well, I'm very careful, very selective with certain friends.
So you are conscious of it.
I'm conscious of it. It's almost like I speak 2 other languages, and it's almost like switching into another language.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I have friends that are completely okay with swearing, and I have friends that, for whatever reason, very religious.
So it's your situation, proper. Your situational
it's situation
cursor.
Based. Yeah, absolutely.
I like the idea of translating it. Yeah, like switching to a different language. And what languages do you speak? Spanish.
Spanish and Catalan.
Oh, okay.
From Barcelona.
Yeah. Barcelonian Spanish.
Yes. Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Sí.
But a lot more THs in there.
So friends is obviously, like you said, it depends on who you're around, how you're going to talk. The fourth one is the media. And we can always blame everything on the media as well.
Sure.
That's easy. TV, movies, and now, of course, the internet. Like kids are watching a YouTube video and they're, 8 years old watching something that they probably shouldn't be watching.
Sure.
They're going to hear some colorful languages, and it's hard to police all of that all the time.
Yeah.
Especially now if they have their own devices and they have things. And of course, there's, even parental filters. It still gets by that. The language does.
Sure.
It might be nudity or something else that's being filtered.
Oh, right, yeah.
But sometimes even, and I won't even say cuss words, it could just be conceptually language or something that is not appropriate.
Yeah, allusions to things.
Yeah, when I think back, though, about the music that I used to listen to, like we talk about our old,
rap,
80s stuff, 90s. Yeah, rap. I mean, like the gangster rap. And like, I look back now and I hear some of it and I'm like, I can't believe that I listened to that. And I didn't really know what they were talking about. I mean, Eazy-E's Dope Man. Like, I really didn't get it.
Yeah.
Just thought he was cool. I didn't realize he was dealing drugs, So those are kind of things like, the music, of course. And, and even my kids now, they'll start singing a song and they have no idea what they're actually singing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a good song to be singing in front of your grandparents or something like that.
You mean like I like big butts and I don't like to lie?
At least he doesn't like to lie. That's good.
Right.
And they sing it in Spanish too.
Me gusta grande pompis.
Yeah. So, as soon as kids are able to talk, they're able to learn new and exciting words. And so we want to make sure it's the right words rather than the wrong ones. And this happens from the moment they're talking. So, the old school way, and maybe there are some people that still believe in this, but I've seen it firsthand, soap, hot sauce, something like that, where when you talked or you said something bad, something went into your mouth that was not good.
Pleasant, right?
And so, hey, me personally, I don't agree with that method. I'm not saying that, hey, but it's a little aggressive,
Right.
So the key, I think, is catching it early. If you can catch it and teach them the appropriateness of it. It's not to say that there's never an opportunity where you should never say something, because the reality is like, it's not the most horrible thing in the world. However, you can explain that obviously it doesn't sound very good. It doesn't sound like you're intelligent, or it doesn't, it's not appropriate.
It's not classy.
Yeah. But the reality is, it's like monkey see, monkey do. It's like, if I'm cussing, it's hard for me to say that, for my child, like, well, you can't do it, but I can, as they get older. So here's a couple ways that we can deal with it. The first one, just zip it. Like monkey see, monkey do, as I said.
Well, that's your method, right?
Yeah. And so Ted, you said,
don't go down that
pretty much not doing it. He's still swearing. He's still. My son is. Yeah, absolutely. He started from friends. It's
and how old is he?
He's 7.
He's 7. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And he knows all the words.
He knows
all of them. All of them.
So that we'll get into that. So, that's something though. If you, and I think Ted, you're doing just that. It's like, okay, I'm not going to say it around my children, and that's sort of the first. Most, that's the easiest one to do, or I should say easiest one to do, but the most prolific and probably the most impactful.
Yeah.
So, just be mindful of what comes out of your mouth, and, that's the case. The other, number 2, ask others to zip it. So this might not be as easy, but we've certainly had situations where I've had friends or family that have come over to my house or in a situation, and they just really don't realize what they're saying, or that there's children around, and so asking other family members or people say, hey, when my kids are around, can you just kind of be mindful? I don't want to say be careful, but like just be mindful of some of the words that you might be using. Most people are pretty good about it.
Yeah.
They might not realize it, but they'll say a couple of them, but it does happen. Just let Aunt Edna know that the F-bombs are not welcomed around the kids.
Aunt Edna.
Yeah. I mean, you say it in a nice way, but she might
it up every year.
Aunt Edna might say F you, hey, I don't care.
That's a question. Maybe we'll get into this later, but like, are initials okay? Like alluding to the actual word. If I said F you, I know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
F that and the A. If I said that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Is that okay if your son said that?
I think that's an individual decision.
I would say absolutely not.
Right.
Okay. It's a representation of the exact same thing.
Right. It's just the same thing. So like, I mean, I'm not saying the adults shouldn't, maybe that's how they kind of curtail themselves, but I just wonder, like, where do we draw the line with the children?
Yeah. I mean, you're still making the expression.
The kids are still getting that they've sworn.
Right.
And that it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Which makes me laugh because like you do it on the radio and.
Right.
Like, it just makes sense.
So, yeah. I know. So the third one, and this was really big, actually. My mother taught me about this one, was not to draw attention to it.
Yeah.
So what happens is when they're really young, they may pick up a word and they're not really even realizing what the word is. But it's not even worth pointing it out sometimes.
Right. Because they're too young to really understand it. Right. This happened recently. I was at a party over the weekend, and they said that the kid, somehow it came up where the kid's like 2, said F you really loud because he learned it from somewhere with it. But in weird, he applied the context of it, which is kind of strange. And so everyone had to try not to laugh, first of all.
Right.
Because it's a 2-year-old, isn't he? He's barely talking.
Right.
And then not draw attention to it because he doesn't know. He just heard it.
And the more you react to it, the more attention it gets, that's going to make them want to do it. It's like, oh, I can say that and get a reaction. Yeah. And that's, that just drawing the attention to it. So to not make a big deal about it is important.
Right.
I think that's the case. So, and that's hard because especially like you said, if you're in your house and you don't cuss and you're making a conscious effort and all of a sudden your child does it, you have to be mindful not to be like, what are you saying? You know, and then you get upset or you get really, you know, or you start laughing.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, there's things on the internet I've seen. This just came up when I was doing some research for this. It's like, there's all these videos of children saying really bad stuff. And like people, I mean, let's be honest, it's kind of funny just because it's kind of taboo.
Yeah.
But it's so inappropriate.
You're right.
You know, and the kids sometimes know what they're saying and the other times they don't. So I guess that's a big YouTube thing that, you know, people are doing that.
Jeez.
Well, if it gets hits.
Yeah, right. That's all it really cares about.
That's all
the
we care
media.
about. Sharing. Number 4, apologize when you do slip. So if you do something, kind of like burping at the dinner table or doing something inappropriate, you know, just let it be known that was inappropriate and you apologize for it. Like it could, that's why I said, like, let's say a situation where you just like you slip or you fall or you get hurt or something, and your immediate reaction without even thinking is to say something bad.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Oh, I'm sorry for saying that. I should have probably said something different, or, you know, something like that. And actually just apologizing for it, they're going to see that, oh, okay, you did something wrong and you just apologize. Yeah. And so it's important for them.
I do that at work now. I mean, I'm a director, and once in a while I'll swear and I'm sorry. And, you know, in case someone's really offended, they're usually not.
Not that there's anything wrong with
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
As long as you say that afterwards.
Right, then it totally covers everything.
Right. When you apologize, it makes everything okay.
Exactly. I can totally get away with things.
Yeah. That's funny. Number 5, come up with an alternative. So this was something also my mother had taught us. So we did this. My son was really young. And so my wife dropped something and totally cursed, you know, just like, I think she had dropped it was like a jar of something and it spilled all over the kitchen, like slipped out of her hand, just spilled everywhere. So our son heard that and repeated, like he was just starting to talk and he was repeating it, like, you know, whatever. I can't even remember which word. Yeah. He just kept repeating it and it came up on a couple occasions. So what would happen is when something exciting happened, he would say the word, and it happened like 2 or 3 times. So my mom had suggested, and this was great, is to replace the word with something else. Yeah. So what we did is we actually set up a couple different situations, and we did this. It was pretty funny, where we would make a big deal. Something happened, we'd throw or like, you know, drop something else or whatever, and then say the word drats, which was not a bad word. Right. And so we started saying that.
What era did you go to get that word?
Really. Drats. Well, it was my mom that said
Foiled again.
Yeah. Succotash. You know? Yeah. No. So, but it was like, but it's not a bad word. Right. And so we ended up saying that. And it was pretty funny because I think we staged a couple of situations and like, you know, she pretended like she hurt her hand or something. She's like, drats. And so then our son like just moved to that word. Yeah. And like started saying the word drats. And then of course it just kind of fades away. But it was the idea of like creating an alternative for that, you know, which I think is cool.
Yeah,
you know,
swapping it out.
That's a great idea.
You don't have to have the word drats. Yeah. Right. But it worked for us. And, you know, that was the old school mom coming up with that one. So number 6, let them know that there's a time and place for it. So what I mean by that is when they are at home, at school, playing with friends, or I should say anywhere other than playing with their friends, they really need to be mindful about how they talk. Now, we can teach them, of course, about when you're around your friends, you talk appropriate and you talk, but you also can't control that very much either. And the reality is that they're going to want to have some kind of outlet. I know I wanted to, that I wanted to talk freely and not be policed. So I think if we can show some sort of balance and saying, hey, listen, when you're with your friends, you guys are having fun. You guys are talking. I mean, you know, they talk about all kinds of stuff that's dirty and whatever else. So do we. You know, we might not say around some. You know, yeah, I know it's still funny.
They were just adults.
It's still funny. We're like, you know, 40-year-old kids. But letting them know that might be okay when they're in that situation. But when they're at school, in our house, with our family, that's not how we are going to talk. Right. So it doesn't prohibit them from ever doing it at all, because I think that's where you got to be careful. You know, it's like with anything. I mean, you stifle something so much, there could be some rebellion. Sure. You know, so giving them a little bit of that outlet. What do you think about that one?
I think it's great. Actually, my son will say words like the F word or SH, and I stop him and I say, Kellen, you know, that's a bad word. And he says, yeah, I know it's a bad word. And I said, okay, so
I said it.
Why are you saying that? And the answer is, well, I just thought it was funny.
Right.
So, and I'll explain to him, it's okay. It's okay if you think that's funny. However, other people are going to have a very bad impression of you if you use that kind of language. So it's okay if you ask me about those words. It's okay if you say it in front of me, when we're at home. But you need to be very careful, very mindful of saying those things, because he likes to do play dates. He has a lot of friends. He's always out and about. And I just remind him that if he uses that kind of language in front
it's going to reflect on him.
It's going to reflect on him and me, and he may not be invited back to play with certain friends.
Right.
If the parents, certainly the parents won't approve if he's talking like that. So, yeah.
I learned a couple words from your son.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I think that's the hard part. Everybody's got a little bit different philosophy. It's like, do you say like you can never say it? That's one that's saying, hey, listen, it's like I totally understand. It's like it's going to reflect bad on you. That's a decision you have to make.
Right.
Like, do you want to be perceived like that or not? And if the child says, no, I don't care, because if you stifle them too much, they're going to just they're going to throw F-bombs everywhere. Right. They're going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Eating candy and throwing F-bombs.
I keep getting asked, what does the F word mean? I simply won't answer that question. I just say it's a horrible thing to say to somebody. It makes people feel really bad inside. They're not going to want to be around you if you say that word.
Yeah. I think in our house, my wife may have said, it's the word duck with an F.
That's good. I'm gonna use that.
It's duck with an F. And so my kids actually said, well, the word duck with an F? Some kids were saying that. And I was like, oh. So it's just kind of funny. So the number 7, limit their exposure. And so what I mean by that, so in addition to watching what you say, is watch the exposure that they get in the media and other people. Like I said, we can't police everything all the time, and you can't control Aunt Edna if she's talking like that. But you can have a little bit more control over the games that they play, at least in your own house, or the things that they're watching.
Sure. And the friends they hang out with.
And the friends they hang out with, of course.
There are occasional bad eggs.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
Right.
Well, because of bad parents, but we'll go. That's a different episode.
Those eggs are bad too.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The nest is bad.
The nest, totally. The nest is bad. It's not the bad kid. That's at least my belief. And then the last one, number 8, play the curse game. So I'll explain what this is. This was something that my parents did with me and my sisters. And I mean, what they do is they would give us 30 seconds to say all of the curse words we knew. I'll tell you what, this was some of the most exciting and memorable stuff of my childhood.
I like this.
And so my parents, like, we weren't, it wasn't appropriate to cuss. We were very, nice, normal family. And we didn't cuss. And my parents, I don't remember them cussing really. But this was something that my parents would let us do, and we loved it. And it was just like an outlet that we were allowed to do. So I have to guess, I have 2 older sisters. They're 4 and 5 years older than me. I've got to think I was probably around my kids' age, like 7, 8 years old, something like that, where it started. And they would literally say, like, I remember being in the back of the car, and they'd say, all right, go, and like have their timer out. And we would just spew out whatever words we knew. I think it was 30 seconds.
You must have learned a lot of things.
This is awesome.
Well, you're talking, not listening. So I should have been listening to what my sisters were saying, but I wasn't. I was just trying to spew out all of us at the same time.
So
it's like a contest.
Yeah, well, it was just,
right.
yeah.
How many can you get out in the 30
So
seconds?
what was really funny is I actually did this with my kids, like not too long ago.
Yeah.
And, and they're, at that time they were probably 5 and 7 or 4 and 6 or something like that. Because they were, they started to say a couple words, whatever. And so we did this, and I was listening to what they were saying. I was really intent. I wanted to hear what words they knew. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's all they know? But like the words were so innocent.
Yeah, poop.
Yeah. It was like,
it
was words that like, those aren't even bad words. Like, and so I think like, no joke, I think one of them may have said death. Something like they,
cool
whatever they thought was
word.
Bad.
Yeah.
They're sitting there talking about these things, and my wife and I were just sitting there starting to laugh. I mean, it was like, because you're ready, you're like bracing yourself. Like what do these kids know?
Yeah.
But it was also something I think for my parents too to kind of understand how much do we know.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that we might be saying on the playground or saying like, and it was interesting. So they were obviously listening and they would let us do this. Obviously, as you get a little bit older, it gets a little bit more colorful.
Sure, yeah.
And, and like I said, I don't know how much I wasn't listening. So I don't know how much reaction my parents had. I just remember trying to concentrate on all the words that I knew, the 10 of them or 5 of them or whatever. But it was pretty funny. I mean, it was something. And so, that's just kind of lighthearted. Like I said, I was glad that my kids didn't know that much at that point. I would be curious to do it now,
right?
To kind of see if they knew it.
Well, you said earlier that your son knows them.
He knows
a good chunk of them.
He knows a good chunk.
Yeah.
So if you play that game, or if you're not familiar with what he says, if the kids are coming up to you asking questions, they're obviously hearing it and knowing some things.
I have kind of a funny anecdote here. I lived in Spain for a time, and I made friends with a guy. When I didn't speak very good Spanish, one of the first things he did on the first day, he took me to a bar and he said, "We're going to teach you some words." And he taught me all the cuss words in Spanish.
Is that a common thing? I think
it was hilarious. Yeah. It like bonded our friendship.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
In the same way, there's probably so many different ways to, in other countries, there's other ways to say something in degrees. Like if you say something and then there's another word that is like even worse than that one of the same thing.
You can say many more bad things in Spanish than you can in English.
Even estúpido is like bad, worse than how we say it.
Right.
Like saying someone's stupid is like you say it there, it's a little, taken a little more harshly.
Yeah. So what about anybody else? Are you guys okay with cursing? How do you feel about it? What are some other techniques? Alan, where can they give us some feedback?
Give us some feedback. podcast@dudesanddads.com is our email. Please write some swear words to us and email us with your swear words.
No, then we'll get banned.
It's email. Come on, it's all social media. But
we're going to make a list of all the swear words we know.
Oh, jeez. Get some wallpaper out to put that on. And also social media. Twitter, Dudes to Dads, Facebook, dudestodads.com, and then go to iTunes and Stitcher and leave 5-star reviews, Dudes to Dads, of course, and YouTube. Subscribe to all 3 of them.
And if anyone's looking for a mortgage, Ted, you are a broker, right?
I'm a mortgage broker, yes.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Yes.
So, and very good. Ted's excellent what he does. So, hey, we might as well plug that too. If anyone needs a loan, give us an email. And and you can do that almost, every state?
No, only California.
Oh,
yes,
California.
What's your full name, Ted?
Ted Morgan.
Ted Morgan. There we go.
With new fixed rate.
There we go. All right. We weren't even thinking business, but might as well.
Yeah, might as well plug it in there.
The millions of people that are listening to us, and that's what happens.
And knowing Ted will not swear at you.
Right. Well, that's true.
Won't happen.
And habla español.
Sí, hablo español también. Sí.
There we go.
Right on, guys. Well, with that, we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Take care.